Welcome back, baseball fans. We're doing an elimination video tonight of a fictional team, the Las Vegas expansion team, and what we're looking at right now is last year's stats. And the reason I'm doing that is because the number of games played is very similar in both years, as is the record. So this is at least an interesting way of looking at data, regardless of how it pertains to Major League Baseball history. It's kind of a way to see how this expansion process is working. Las Vegas is in a division with Arizona, Colorado, and Portland, and they've won the division the last couple years with a 500 record or abouts. Lost in the wild card round both years with home field. Would lose to the Giants, a great team. Would lose to the Dodgers, an almost great team. You get the idea. So this is last year's 2021 information. 21 and 21 is also their one-loss record. Highlights would be their all-star Tommy Davis, 353, 420 RBI. Ron Hanson, a great Cards utility player, 6 and 21. You see 6 guys with 20 RBI on a team that scored 184 runs, but they gave up 201 runs. So that's a negative net run differential there. Art Shamski at 321, so that gives them 300 hitters. A-Rod and Bacabella were fine. Nobody was really awful. Jeff Torberg and Ramon Webster were utility players, so not a big deal there. Overall, a very decent offense with no obvious star. A decent offense. As far as the pitching goes, Woody Fryman led the club in innings pitched with 74, but he had an ERA of 4. Blue Moon Odom was the ace, but he also was 5-5 with a 5.91 ERA. So they won this division with their ace getting lit up, which is very courageous. Tony Cloninger is nothing particularly special. Ron Herbal isn't either. Ken Johnson. The highlight would be their closer, Jim Rowland, I guess, with a 182 ERA and a 114 WHIP. And they had Ken Brett on the team in the bullpen, and eventually he'll get him as a starter. So that's a look at last year. So let's look at this year and see what stats jump off the page or what looks, drastically different. So our boy Tommy Davis is still leading the club in hitting, though his average dropped to 316. Also, production-wise, he did not hit a home run and only had 6 RBI. That's a big drop. As I quickly look at the RBI column, we had 6 guys with 20 RBI last year. This year, only 3 guys. So the batting average fell slightly from 271 to 268, but look at the production. Only 149 runs, which is 35 fewer runs this year with this young team. Hanson and A-Rod were still doing productive stuff. Looking at the bottom, really, Torborg gets 246 and was the second worst hitter, so there really isn't a singular anchor of a team who was terrible. None of the hitters were horrible. Well, Ted Kubiak was, but he was a utility player as well. They sprinkled some stolen bases on at least 3 players. Nobody had more than 6 homers, led by Jim Nettles, who was a draft pick. That was a nice choice. Jim Nettles, 6 homer, 23 RBI. Bacabella still produces, 5 homer, 21 RBI. Ron Hanson had 36 walks. So you got to look at that 430 on base percentage. Just didn't translate to a lot of runs. Pitching staff got better, though. Now look at Ray Kolp, acquired in the offseason, and he threw 102 innings in 41 games. So he was the ace of this team and acted like an ace. 4 complete games, a 3.24 ERA, and a 1.29 WHIP. Woody Fryman went to the All-Star game. He improved from a year ago. Jim Rowland, 2 great years as a closer. Not bad. Also, Jim Rowland, I believe, pitched for Oakland. So the fact that Oakland doesn't have a quality lefty setup guy like Jim Rowland would hinder the A's. So that's good news for the American League at this point. They don't have Paul Lindblad either, do the A's? And they're doing well in other places. Let's see what else. Ken Brett now is in the rotation as the number 2 starter, and didn't do very well. But you saw him get beat up by the Dodgers, so that really affected his overall ERA. Can't figure out why Blue Moon Odom's card. That was the Oakland A, his best year for the Oakland dynasty. is the Blue Moon Odom card we're using, and he's ERA is 5 over 2 years. And fans of Roger Hambright out there, I know you always tune in to figure out, always bugging me, how's Roger doing? How's Roger doing? How's Roger doing? You might want to cover your eyes. Roger Hambright did not perform very well at all this year. So that means it's time to look at Las Vegas's team. 2 years in a row they overachieved. Their net run differential was poor for a division winner, and it's just going to be luck in the offseason. That's all they have. The 8 guys that leave, you hope you can find 8 suitable replacements, and you don't know if you can or not, because a lot of these guys are extra player cards, and this was either their best year in a lot of occasions, and they're usually not long tenured players, and usually not Hall of Famers either. So here's his 8 players from 1970. And on this list, there are some nice contributors on this list. So they're going to have to do some work in the off season. These dozen guys will be coming back next year to see if they can win the division 3 times in a row, which would be just a lucky random thing to have happen. As you would think Arizona or Colorado or Portland would take advantage of high draft picks to overthrow the mighty Vegas squad. And this offense looks kind of shaky. You got a catcher in Ron Hodges. Do we have a first baseman? We can put Tommy Davis at first base for the moment. Jack of all trades there. Nice hitter. Tim Cullen's a good second baseman. Rangy and a .261 hitter. Was an Oakland A in '72. Would have gotten a World Series ring. Kubiak was a Cardinal, not an A. Middle infielder. And then 2 interesting outfielders. I'll give them that. They have Ken Berry, a 1- with a 0 run, but he's also an E0. And he has a .290, almost a .300 hitting card, C-stealer, 8-bunter, power against lefties. So honorable mention as far as a talented outfielder there is Ken Berry. And this Jim Nettles card is okay. It's kind of a fun card because he is a rangy 2. It's a left-handed batter. He has power both ways and plenty of homers against lefties. So you could leave him on the field full time under this because they're an expansion team. And a C-stealer will steal a handful of bases, and a C-hit and runner. So there's some nice things to see in this Jim Nettles card that traditional Major League teams would not view as a regular player. They put him on the bench, most of your regular baseball teams. But for a Vegas team, they make him play every day. Well, that's the 12 guys. So now we're going to have to do an examination of the 8 players from 1970 who are leaving and see if this team can contend next year. All right, let's take a look at the 1970 players that this team will be losing. And it's going to be 6 hitters and a couple pitchers. First player is John Bacabella. And I gotta say, they got a lot of bang for their buck out of this guy, because he could play first base and catcher, and they didn't need him to catch, they needed him to play first base, and they used him there a lot with his 1970 card. He was a Cub, and then eventually he goes to the Expos in the expansion. The 70 card, 269, 321, 407, 727, not bad for catcher, first base, platoon guy, 145 plate appearances. 71, he most likely can qualify for waivers if Strat made his card. We can verify that. 72 and 73, he does kind of the same kind of thing. Now his numbers aren't particularly good, but as a catcher, you know, you don't have to be great. You might have a good throwing arm, you might have a good platoon, a good split. It's hard to cut a guy like this when he's got 3 years left on an expansion team. We don't necessarily have to keep him. Let's first verify that he is an Expo in 71 by going to Gary's roster sheets on Tripod, superds.tripod.com. We're going to take a peek here at the Montreal team. And is Bacabella there? Yes, he's actually a catcher. His versatility to play catcher and first base was what attracted Vegas. I'm going to make him a keeper for now. because I'd rather start with the first player as a keeper, and if I find better guys, I'll just move them into waivers. So that's where we'll start. All right, next guy, Ron Hanson. Finally, this 70 card has been in the league for 4 years, terrorizing the National League. Went to a couple All-Star games with it. You look why, you're like, Ron Hanson, really? And I'm like, yeah, check this out, folks. I mean, he had a nice 1960s, but 1970 in just 59 games. There it is, 297, 420, 473, 892. And Vegas rode that card for 4 years. No wonder they're competitive. He was probably the anchor of a team who was probably never an anchor of a team. Well, maybe in 64 for the White Sox, he may have been the anchor of a team. All right, so in 71, he comes crashing down to earth. And he might have a nice split in 71 with the Yankees. Let's go see if his card exists. That's a New York Yankee, Ron Hanson. And he does. So he qualifies for waivers. Ron Hanson on waivers. All right. Next up, Aurelio Rodriguez. Now, you know we're going to keep him. But we're also going to consider letting that phone ring, and the Detroit Tigers are going to say, hey, when are you going to give us our dude? And we're like, he's not your dude. I mean, he was not even on. I mean, he was with the Angels in the 60s, and he's with the Senators in 1970. So you see, he goes to the Tigers for the rest of his career. Long career, it turns out. Then the Yankees in the early 80s. Long career, 83. He's going to get some Gold Glove. Well, you're not going to win a Gold Glove when Brooks Robinson's in the American League during this time. But yeah, this is a keeper, obviously. Plenty of tread on this dude's tires. But we're going to put trade in there because I think what Vegas should do, if they were clever, they trade him to Detroit and get a lot in return. Because let's face it, they need a lot in return. And say, hey, you want history? You want your historic third baseman Detroit? You're going to have to pony up a lot of those extra dudes you got. All right, next player is Art Shamski. Shamsick, I think he got himself a World Series ring with the Mets in '69, I want to guess. And they also had a nice 1970. There he is, 300, 293. Sure, 27 and 28. Then the wheels come off the cart for some reason. I don't know, he can't produce at ages 29 and 30. Look at that. He just, you'd think he'd be moving into his prime. He would, nothing? No, he just, I don't know, injuries? Who knows? Any Art Shamski fans out there want to chime on in? Let me know what happened to this dude, because he's just not worth it. As a left-handed hitting outfielder, I'm doubting this split is going to be any good as well. So, is he a Met in 71 for waiver purposes? New York Met, Shamski. Let's see. The Mets only have Wayne Garrett, Dave Marshall, McAndrew, Charlie Williams. And the Mets have A.G. Hahn, Jones, and Singleton. So, they didn't print his card, folks. When you don't, the Strat-O-Matic doesn't make your card, and you had 157 plate appearances in 71, and that's your only team, it means you're done. He has to be retired. He could come out of retirement theoretically in 72, but he also has only 27 plate appearances. So that is a crashing down to earth, unfortunately, for Art Shamski. That's sad there. He is done. Suddenly done, too. That's going to hurt Las Vegas. They need help. They're not getting the help they need, sadly, as you can expect. Jarvis Tatum is the next player up for bids here. The price is not necessarily right. Yeah, his career's over. 1970. Don't need to go any further. Just a call up for the Angels. 70 was his best year. And that was the year we just played, and he doesn't play in 71. So he's gone at age 23. Jarvis Tatum. Oh boy, final hitter, Jeff Torborg. Well, at least you folks got to see Jeff shining in a playoff game. I'll always have that. Put that just like, we'll always have Paris. We'll always have Jeff Torborg. We always have that game where you hit 2 doubles and 3 at-bats and threw 2 guys out stealing and threw 2 other balls in the center field. Long-time Dodger against your Dodger team. Then he went to the Angels. So, I'm not going to grade him now because we know he's more of a defensive catcher anyway. He might have a nice split. He's kind of in the same land that Ron Hanson and John Bacabella are in. So, do they make a 71 card for California? They should. Let's just double check. And they do. So, we're going to put him on waivers. We already have 1 catcher, Ron Hanson, and you can get anybody to catch. So, we're not going to retire Torborg. We'll let him look for a job elsewhere. All right, next guy, Ray Kolp. Great year in 1970. The wins-loss didn't translate. But the strikeouts certainly did. Would have been for the Sox. He was an all-star in 69. In 70, 251 innings. Did he have 11? What is that? Hit by pitch. Okay. Oh, there you go. He leads the league in hit by pitches, but guess what? Strat-O-Matic doesn't put hit by pitches on their pitcher's card, so that's good. 197 strikeouts and 251 innings. 2 really nice years in a row in 69 and 70. And in 71, look at that. He holds it together, folks, for 4 solid years. Nice little run. They're going to hold on to him. Yeah, Ray Kolp's coming back. Him and A-Rod are your best players thus far. And that's good news for Vegas. 1 more year of Ray Kolp. And the last guy is Tom Dukes. Tom Dukes of Hazard. 67 to 72. Was a Padre. Came on with Houston, was an expansion Padre. This 70 card has a 4.04 ERA and a 1.26 whip. In 71, it's pretty similar. Ooh, we got to check it out though. I think they made this card. I recall seeing that on Baltimore. 38 1/3 innings. That's why you have to check and see if the card exists, because the innings are low. That doesn't mean they did make it. That's why you got to see if Baltimore. There he is. Look at that. Right there under the cursor. Baltimore Orioles, 3rd guy down. Tom Dukes. So that's remarkably fortunate for this Vegas team. They get this guy. 28 relief appearances, finished 12 games, 38 innings with a 125 whip. It's rather fortunate that that's how your off-season can be. So when I say that, I mean you have 4 keepers, 2 waivers, and 2 retires. That's the first inspection as soon as your season ended. And you have all season to make trades. But if you had to go in the next season with this alignment, you could. Dukes in the bullpen, Kolp in the rotation, A-Rod at 3rd base, or somebody better than A-Rod on your team if the Tigers come knocking, which I expect them to do. Bacabella, or, you know, somebody better. Maybe you waive Bacabella and you keep Hanson, or you keep Torborg. I don't know. And, of course, the 2 retired guys. So, that's it tonight for eliminating the Las Vegas team. Courageous division winner 2 years in a row, but they just can't play with the big boys when it matters most. Thanks for checking it out. We'll see you next time.